You tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need. We give you outspoken thoughts about all the headlines. We talk baseball, football, hockey, and more. No matter the topic, we cover it. Get ready for the show and keep it outspoken. Keep it outspoken. We keep it outspoken only on the Sportscast. Tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need.
Hello, everyone. Welcome in to Watson's Playbook. All right, welcome into episode 11 of Watson's Playbook here. We have been, me and my buddy Jeff, who is on the line. Welcome, Jeff.
Hello.
We are going to restructure this podcast, and we're going to do different segments of the week, and we think that's going to make it a little bit better for our listeners, for you guys, and for ourselves, and make it a little bit easier. So any input you guys might have, feel free to do so on email gmail.com or Facebook page as well. So let me get started real quick here. Jeff, how have you been?
I've been pretty good. Just been, working and doing a few things, trying to kind of get some other jobs lined up and stuff like that. My wife, she's on her last half of this end of her degree stuff, so she'll be finished up in maybe like 4 weeks. So then that'll be it. And she just submitted a book idea to an agent in New York, so we're kind of waiting to hear back from that. But yeah, overall things are good. The weather's cooled down in Colorado finally, so we have rain every day, at least an hour or two a day, and a lot of wind, so it's a nice weather.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. The storm is hitting in Houston, and it's going to be raining this next week here. So we could definitely use the rain. So I'm not going to complain about that at all. But,
And then also been watching some baseball just started. So I've been watching some of the Yankees a little bit. I think they might have won today. They were up by one run at the end of the game against the Nationals. So they had one more out left. I was watching that a little bit before we started, and I've been playing Ghost of Tsushima. Awesome game. Anybody curious to try that out, or if you've never heard of it, just go on our Twitch. I've been live streaming a few times a day, maybe every other day or so, and then and enjoying that. That's kind of the last big game before PS5's out, so I'll be able to sink my teeth into that a little bit more. And I'm also probably next month I'll probably get MLB The Show 20, just because they dropped it in half. So.
Oh, nice. Right. I know they've done a lot of deals right now on the PlayStation Network. I noticed. Yeah, I've seen you. We have a Watson's Playbook Twitch account. It's Watson_Playbook. I've noticed you have been putting a lot of the Ghost of Tsushima up there. It's a game this is the next game I'm going to get to try out. It looks really interesting.
Yeah, if anybody's a fan of like Assassin's Creed, if there's anybody a fan of any open world games or something like that. It's different because it's like a old, like a samurai game, but it's challenging. It's just a different kind of game. So if you're interested in things like that, exploring worlds and kind of playing something that's a little different than you would normally probably play or normally see in games, check it out. It's really, really good. There's a lot of options. There's a lot of different ways you can play it. It's deep, but it's from the makers of Infamous games. I don't know if anybody's ever played those or not, but they're super good, high quality. Probably the last big PlayStation exclusive, I would say, before PS5. So this is kind of the last swan song game here.
Right. Yeah, and I just went earlier and I I bought the remastered of The Last of Us when it came out to the PS4. And I just re-downloaded that on the PlayStation. I think I'm going to dive back into that, maybe do the 2 games back to back. But I've been playing Call of Duty, and I need a sports game, man. I might get some. I just downloaded NBA 2K20 last week as well. So it's basketball and everything. It's kind of picking up in sports right now, NBA and MLB. Let's go ahead and jump into this segment. It's going to be called The Fifth Down, and if you want to know why it's called that, you can reach out to us, or you can actually look it up. It's kind of interesting. But these are going to be 5 topics of the week. Things that have happened this week. It could be sports. It could be gaming. It could be anything. So our number one right now is Dak Prescott. There's been a lot of questions with Dak Prescott going on to his contract and everything else, but 105.3 The Fan's Brian Broaddus, who is a professional scout and now works for The Fan and talks football. But he had an interview with some former coaches and former staff members of the Dallas Cowboys, and he asked him a simple question of, do you think Dak Prescott wants to be in Dallas? And his question, or the answer was, no, I do not. So that was a big storyline this week here in Texas. You know, I live in Dallas, or I live in Fort Worth, so that was a huge statement. And they also said that Dak Prescott, from what he got out of those answers, Dak Prescott was upset that they let Jason Garrett go, which is another interesting topic as well. But there's been a lot of smoke between Dak Prescott, all the rumors between Dak Prescott and being happy with Dallas and Jerry Jones questioning on if this is our guy. There's got to be some fire there, in my opinion, Jeff. So what's your thoughts and opinions on that one?
It's interesting because in a lot of ways, this has kind of been something that's been ongoing for a while. I think, in my opinion, Dak is this is going to be an ongoing situation. This is going to be going on all the way into the season, even going into probably off season of next year. It's just, it all depends on what's going on. I think if the Cowboys go deep in the playoffs, possibly even go to a Super Bowl, I think a deal would get done fast. You
can't let go bring in Super Bowl.
If they don't and they make the playoffs, or if they make the playoffs and they get bounced in the first game, as they tend to do, or it comes down to the last game and it's over, and they don't make the playoffs, then this is going to be a long stretch of back and forth. The fact that he didn't like the firing of Jason Garrett, kind of interesting. Will he like this new coach? I have no idea. It's still pretty new, but again, we've been hearing about this for a while, and this back and forth between them. If they didn't get a deal done last year, I was very surprised that they were going to get a deal done at all, and he would possibly get franchise tagged. But yeah, this for Cowboy fans, this is stressful.
It is stressful for those that believe Dak Prescott is their guy, and a lot of questions. There's a lot of Cowboy fans that still believe that they don't know if Dak Prescott's their guy. So this could work out in their favor. This is really there's no more excuses for Dak Prescott. Everyone blamed Jason Garrett and the reason why they've been failing a lot and holding Dak Prescott back. So with McCarthy coming in, and look, I'm a Green Bay fan. Coach McCarthy was great in Green Bay. That he should be able to have some success here in Dallas. I think he's really good at working with quarterbacks. So I think Dak Prescott will work good with him. And I ultimately think they get the job done this year, as in having a successful season. I'm not expecting them to go to the Super Bowl, but I expect them to win enough where Dak Prescott, I believe, will have a contract at the end of the season going into the offseason next year. Let's jump into number 2 real quick here. Jamal Adams has been trash talking his way and trying to force his way out of New York. He played with the New York Jets. He's been trash talking his coach, saying that he wasn't a leader. He doesn't know how to lead a team, which their coach is very iffy. I probably believe Jamal on that one. But he's trying to force his way out of the New York Jets. He felt very disrespected. He said that he felt like the general manager said that they were going to get a new deal done with him. But the Jets have not really pursued that and haven't given him a new deal. So yesterday, breaking news broke that Jamal Adams was traded to Seattle, and Seattle gave up a lot for him. And I think they gave up too much for him. They gave up They gave up a first-round pick and a third-round pick in 2021. They gave up a first-round pick in 2020. And the Jets get back a fourth and safety, as in Bradley McDougald, which I don't know who he is. So I think Seattle gave way too much up for him. To me, as safety, the position of safety in the NFL is not going to really affect your game. It's not going to really fit the win or loss in the column. So I think giving up 2 first-round picks, usually, in my opinion, giving up 2 first-round picks is usually for a quarterback that's going to come in and change your franchise. But they gave up quite a bit, and I think they overpaid for him. Jamal Adams is a really good player. He is probably the best at his position. But how much does the safety position affect the everyday games is the question, and I don't think it affects it enough to be giving up what they gave up for him. And I don't think Seattle was one piece away either from going to the Super Bowl. So I think they overpaid, but Jamal eventually got what he wanted.
Yeah, he got what he wanted. I mean, Seattle gave up Bradley McDougald, or no, Bradley what was this guy? Bradley
McDougald.
Yeah. And then they also gave up a first-round pick in 2021, third-round pick in 2021, and a first-round pick in 2022. That's according to sources. I didn't see the final breakdown of that trade, but looking at stat-wise, I mean, just in 2 years, 2018, 2019, one interception, so 2 interceptions, and then you have 6.5 sacks in 2019 versus 3.5 sacks in 2018. So he got better there. It looks like he may have missed some time in 2019, maybe. But overall, though, I mean, stat-wise, I think it makes sense to some degree. Seattle to get him, they're trying to build that defense back to what it once was. Getting a young safety, a strong safety, I think makes some sense. Be interesting to see how they'll utilize him more or better than the Jets did. So they did give up. It seemed like they might have given up a lot for him, but I kind of trust Seattle. Seattle's typically makes pretty good decisions and choices. I don't think they're a franchise to quickly jump the gun on something. They might have seen something that maybe even they wanted him, they just couldn't get him. That's a possibility as well. So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. We'll see how that works out for them. I mean, Seattle, for defensive-wise, makes sense.
You know, I look at it, like I said, I think they gave up too much. And I do think Jamal Adams is a good football player. I'm not saying he's not. But to me, this was a win now type of move. And I maybe they think they're in the opportunity right now to win out, but I don't think they are. But when you got Russell Wilson, you always have a chance to win a football game. So
yeah, that's true. That's true. And if they're trying to build their defense up, I kind of get it. I mean, I don't really see honestly a first round pick in 2021. What would they, if they made the playoffs? What would that even mean? You know, so it would mean, I don't know, they'd lose. I mean, they would end up picking high or pretty low in the draft anyway. So I don't really understand. I mean, I would see it as like, I don't know, maybe it doesn't really hurt them that much. It's kind of like if you had like the Chiefs trade for a first round pick. I mean, that'd be really low. They probably wouldn't even really get that much, and they would probably end up trading that pick away anyway to kind of get more picks. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. It's Seattle. Seattle's kind of a coin flip every year. I mean,
and their division's super tough as well right now.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It could go either way. It could hurt them really bad. I just think 2 first rounds for safety, like I said, it's not going to change. Not safety, especially the strong safety position. He's not even a cover safety, which in my opinion, the cover safety is more important than your strong safety. But Jamal Adams is really good. So let's go ahead and jump in. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, we'll see. We'll see how it all works out. It'll be interesting to see how that unfolds.
Yeah, time will tell there. So our number 3 on the list is the Redskins finally agree to change their name. And it was not their idea. They were forced to change their name. Amazon stopped selling their merchandise and a lot of other things. So the Redskins have changed their name, and for now they're going to be called the Washington Football Team. And so it's kind of funny. I think it's kind of what's his name? I think it's Rob Snyder who runs the Redskins. And I think it's just kind of like this kind of a funny middle finger to all those that want him to change his name, because it's just the Washington Football Team. But there is no rush to change the name, and it's actually kind of genius if you think about it. People are going to want to come out for this one season. I kind of want to go out and buy a Washington Football Team shirt. I'm not a Washington fan, but that's just that kind of funny, quirky type thing. They're going to make some money off that, and then when they do change their name to whatever it might be, they're going to get more merchandise sales there as well. So I think it's kind of smart, but it's also kind of funny as well.
Yeah, it's funny. I talked to my dad. My dad's a big Cowboy fan, so talked to him about the name, and he was just like, "Do you believe that?" I'm like, I mean, it doesn't bother me either way. It's not a team it's not my team. I'm sure it could probably bother a lot of people in Washington that have been a diehard for a long time, but I mean, I didn't know if they would actually change the name this year. It seems really fast. It seems like something they would want to marinate on for a while, just to kind of make sure that it's the right name and and it makes sense. And it also, they could kind of maybe savor some of that old school Redskin kind of theme, yet not being, to them, not being offensive or whatever. So, I mean, it's kind of odd to hear it called Washington Football Team. I was telling my wife, I said, I still think there's going to be a lot of fans that just still refer to them as the Redskins, because it's already ingrained. And I think, they may change the name, but I do think that fans will still refer to them as that, even though it wouldn't technically, they wouldn't be called that anymore. But it is what it is. It doesn't bother me because I have no dog in the fight, and it's not my team, right. And it's not even in my division, and it's not even in my conference. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see I'm actually more curious about the logo and how that will be different. I heard that they're just going to basically have numbers on the side of the helmets this year. So that's interesting, but, I think it's going to be, there's going to be a lot of people buying Redskins stuff just to kind of get it and have it. And then there's going to be a lot of people probably try to buy like Washington Football Team stuff to kind of see what that's about as well.
Right. Because this all goes down. It's going to go down in history, and you can always remember that year in 2020, how it was all crazy. And there's the Washington Football Team.
Yeah. I also didn't know that they were also Boston team. Yeah.
They originally came from Boston. So, okay. I found that out the other day too, and I thought that was pretty interesting as well. Some of the names I've actually heard being spitting out for their next nickname is the Washington Red Wolves, which I thought was pretty sick. They came out, I saw the little design the other day because with it, and I thought I think that's my favorite one. Or the Washington Red Tails. So different things like that, and then they look pretty interesting. But they're going to keep that same color scheme of the red and gold, crimson and gold type thing. So that's not changing. Like I said, we really don't have a dog in the fight, me or you. So it is what it is. But I think it's pretty smart, actually, because they were forced to change their name. I think it's pretty smart because they're going to get some extra cash off that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right, number 4 is a NBA topic, and this just came down. This happened a couple days ago, and we just got news just actually earlier today. I was looking up on my phone. So Lou Williams left the bubble of the NBA, and they're calling it the NBA bubble with all the coronavirus. They're down at Disney World. And he left there for, I think, a family emergency is what he said. And they're allowing people to leave. Now, from what I understand, if you leave the bubble, and as long as you get tested every day for the coronavirus and test negative, when you come back to the bubble, you only have to be quarantined 2 days. So you're not missing a lot of time and all that stuff. So, but Lou Williams left from the Clippers and went out and apparently was dumb enough, Jeff, to go to a gentleman's club, a strip club, and got caught with someone took a picture of him, got caught, and then he came back to the bubble to an NBA investigation. And now I just saw that like 2 hours ago on my phone that he will have to be quarantined for 10 days. So he's going to miss probably the start of basketball season. Starts, I believe, Thursday or Friday this next week. Sometime this next week. The Clippers do play the Lakers to open this thing up on the 30th. So they could be missing Lou Williams. Lou Williams is a really good basketball player, come off the bench for them. So I just think it's a dumb mistake. And those type of mistakes are things that could potentially in the NBA season, if they have a lot of players doing these dumb things, it's going to take some real maturity for them to not be going out and partying up. But they're living in a resort, Jeff. So I don't see why, unless you have a family emergency, you would leave. They're living in a resort. It's crazy to me. So it's insane to me.
Yeah, I've heard a few stories about stuff like this happening. One in particular was like an Instagram model with like, you know, there was like I don't remember what player it was. And they invited her to the hotel, you know, and I'm just like, okay.
It's dumb. It's dumb mistake.
It is. And honestly, the hotel should not allow anybody outside of the organizations even in the hotel. My personal opinion. Period. So it's weird because these players have to not see their family for a while, or they have to not see their, you know, friends for a while or whatever. But I mean, you get paid a lot of money. You know, just do your job. It's only for a little bit. You're going right into the playoffs, basically, outside of the 8 warm-up games, I'd like to call that. And that's it, you know? Like, play your stuff, get through the playoffs. If you win, awesome. If you don't, you get to go home early. So, you know what I mean? It's just is what it is. Just finish it out, and next year may be different. You don't know, you know?
Yeah, I hope that's different. I've actually heard they're going to allow some of their family members to join them down there. So eventually, I'm not sure when that's going to take place. So, which I think is kind of a mistake if you're trying to keep everyone safe from the coronavirus. But also, you know, you understand that people miss their family, miss their kids and all that stuff. So that's just something that the NBA has to work out. But I just think it's pure ignorance of Lou Williams to leave just to go to a strip club. I mean, maybe he was dealing with a family emergency, but to go out and go to a strip club or wherever, knowing that you're putting everything else and everyone else at risk, and the NBA and your team and everything else, I just think it's a selfish move on his point. But
well, I mean, the other question also is, why is the strip club open during all this? You know, like, how's that even possible?
Right.
So,
well, you know, it's funny. I thought about that too, and you know, here in Texas we have a well, I don't know if it's all of Texas, but where I live in Fort Worth and Dallas have shut down all the bars. They've closed bars, and this last weekend, yesterday, the bars opened up. They said, screw the rules. Some bars have opened up no matter what. So maybe it's that type of decision, but I don't know. That's my first thought was, what is a place like that even being open during this time? So, but it could have been just someone said, you know, screw it, screw the rules. We're opening up. We got mouths to feed. It's just it's a whole complicated situation, but
it is,
you know,
it's just be smart. That's all. I mean, outside of what we talked about just now, like, that's all I have to say is just come on now.
Right. Come on. All right. Our number 5 is interesting because Major League Baseball just started up. It's great to have sports back in general, but the Toronto Blue Jays were kicked out of Toronto. Toronto says, hey, guys, we're not going to let you play up here in your home. We're not going to allow teams to fly up here. We don't want to deal with it. So you're going to have to find another place to play. So they vetoed. They got kicked out of their own home. I don't even know if we can call them Toronto Blue Jays this year because they're not playing in Toronto. But then they had a agreement with the Pittsburgh Pirates, not the Steelers, the Pittsburgh Steelers, to play in PNC Park. Everyone agreed on it, except the governor of Pennsylvania said no. He vetoed that, and we had no clue where Toronto is going to be playing, where they're going to have to play every game on the road, which would be horrible for them. But they decided to play in they're playing in Buffalo in a AAA ballpark, I believe. So that's where the Toronto Blue Jays, the Blue Jays will be playing this season, the 60 games this season.
So the interesting part is this is obviously in my division, in my team's division. And I get it. They don't want people. They're trying to eliminate as much travel as possible.
Right.
Getting on an airplane, and then also other teams travel as well. They're trying to eliminate that, not only just for Toronto themselves, the team, but also the Yankees and the Red Sox and Tampa. And it's bad enough we have to travel to Tampa. I still think that's kind of weird, but it is what it is. And the way that they structure the season, I think, is going to be very critical because they're going to try to. It's this balance you have to have where if let's say, for example, the Yankees are in Tampa, the chances are they're going to stick down there for a little bit longer. They're not going to go from Tampa then go to Boston, or Tampa then go to California. So it's different because in a regular situation, yeah, they would probably go from Tampa, play 3 games, and then go to Texas, and then from Texas go to Seattle, right? And you see that a lot. So they're trying to eliminate that, and I get it. It doesn't bother me a little bit. It's kind of interesting because it would be interesting to see them play in a AAA park in Buffalo. So, but
right,
there'll be a lot more. There'll be a lot more Yankee fans there. That's for sure. So that's
right.
That'll be interesting.
Well,
that's the game. So.
Right. Well, and they should be used to the weather because it's pretty close to Toronto up there up north. I don't know how close they are together, but the weather is just about the same.
Yeah, it's not far.
So that last topic there is going to help us merge on over into our main topic. And our main topic is, how is Corona going to affect the different sports, the different leagues? How is it going to affect them? And that, number 5 and the 5th down there, leads right into it, because that was something that the Toronto Blue Jays had to overcome because of Corona and the schedule of MLB. So I figured we'd go into each sport and kind of give our own opinions on why or what looks different or what's going to change. And let's go ahead and start with MLB, since we were just talking about Toronto Blue Jays. They're playing in Buffalo this year. So the Major League Baseball's come out. They're going to do a 60-game season. So it's way shorter because regular baseball season is 162 baseball games. So they've cut 102 games. We're going to have a 60-game season. They changed up really all around the map of who you're going to play this year. They changed things up that way. My favorite thing, Jeff, is because they've added my favorite thing is that they've added 2 more playoff teams. So there's going to be 8 teams going to the playoffs this year. And that helps me out, Jeff, because I feel like my team, the Texas Rangers, even though they're going to be bad this year, I believe they can still make playoffs because of the shorter season and the extra 8 games or 8 teams that we're going to see. Well, not the extra 8 teams, but 8 teams going to the playoffs that we're going to see. That helps my team out. I know the Yankees, you're a Yankee fan. They have a good shot this year, man, barring injury. But how do you think this favors them, the 60-game season and all that stuff?
It's kind of a double-edged sword. It's nice because it kind of would eliminate a lot of slumping maybe, or where it's like you don't – I mean, I've been hearing too that it's very possible some of these players could play all 60 games, potentially. Maybe, minus a few, but mostly 60 games easy because it's so short. Usually in baseball, it's like they'll play 20 games and then they'll have a rest. You'll rest in a few players in between and mix them. Rest Judge and bring in a guy off the bench. He can play outfield. Judge gets a rest for a few games. Bring him back. You know what I mean? Cycle through. But and the same thing with like bullpens. Man, it's possible that if people could go on certain bullpen players played for probably, I don't know, they could probably pitch 4 days in a row. It's very possible just because the way the season is kind of short. But it's kind of nerve-wracking because if you start to lose 4 games, 5 games, 1 series, 2 series, 3 series in a row, you're handcuffed. Now with this new playoff thing where they're allowing 16 teams, I think it's 16 teams in total.
Right.
It's kind of nice, but there's some caveat to that as well. There's a little, I don't know, where it's like, okay, for example, aren't they eliminating 6 game series, 4 or 5 game series or whatever it is in the first round? I think it's 3 games.
I believe so.
Yeah. So that's a big one, big difference because you lose that 1 game and you're like, oh well, there's that. That's kind of a big deal, So
yeah.
Losing 1 game is basically like losing game 5, and then you're like, great, now we're on the ropes for 2 games. But again, I think a lot of people will be rested. I think you could do a lot more interesting things throughout the season where you could have your bullpen out there and just mow people down as much as you want, and then you just kind of make sure and smartly use your starters in a way where they're not going to get hurt. It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool, but again, there's a give and take. I get it, and it's awesome, and I'm just glad that it's here. But they're set it up to where the end of the season would actually end at the time it would normally end. Do you know what I mean? Like, including playoffs, including World Series, it would end in September or around October, and not bleed into November. And I was thinking it was going to bleed into November. I'm like, we haven't seen that since 9/11 happened. I mean, that was that year when baseball went into November. Yeah, man, it's different, man.
Right, and when it's actually funny because when I was writing my bullet points down to talk about the different sports, I actually came up with some positives for the Major League Baseball out of it more than anybody else. Like, to me, a lot of fans and baseball's having that struggle right now. Well, everyone's having the struggle right now, but they're having the struggle of gaining fans. They've been looking ways to maybe change the game up a little bit to become more popular. And to me, this could help them in that way because a lot of people don't like to watch baseball because they say it's slow or boring or it's 162 games. I don't have to watch half the season. But this 60-game season could potentially have more viewers, not only because it's shorter season, but because it's sports. And right now we don't have anything to watch as sports fans. So we're all tuning into it. And it might actually help them gain some people, gain some fans. Maybe they want to shorten the season, maybe where the games mean more, maybe to an 80-game or 100-game season, or at least 120, something like that. That could come out of this. I'm not saying it will. It could come out of this, and I think that might help baseball get more fans and more viewers. So what's your opinions on that? Do you think I'm far off from there? Or?
It's kind of already happened a little bit. The first game to start the season off, we saw the Nationals play New York. They had the ring ceremony and all that. Fauci, I think, threw out the first pitch, which was interesting. I was like, why did the president throw out the first pitch? But did you
watch that? Oh, it's horrible. He was almost worse than 50%.
Well, I mean, he's an old guy. I'll give him.
He's 80. Yeah, you gotta give it. Yeah, he's 80 years. He's 80 years old. So
But so I mean, outside of that, it was kind of odd to not see that tradition because I mean, I think the president throwing the first pitch was like a tradition for like 100 and something years. So it's kind of weird to not see that, but they actually had a lot more viewers. They had more viewers watching that game than they've had opening day since 2011. So a lot of that is there hasn't been any sports, which is kind of good. It's helping them out, actually. Being one of the first sports out the gate is kind of helping them out. So I do think that they're going to have a lot more viewers throughout this season. And, I think it will help because they'll have more viewers during the season before football and them MLB and basketball and NBA will basically have they'll be kind of playing alongside each other, but I think that's good because both those organizations definitely need more eyes on them, and they will definitely get more eyes on them for sure. And then once football happens, by the time that happens, playoffs will be started, so that will be even more eyes because obviously those are more intense games. So
right, and to me, baseball is probably the easiest sport to kind of, it's the easiest sport to help with the pandemic going on. You can social distance more in baseball. There's not a lot of contact between each other. I watched the Ranger game the other day. When the person gets on first, they have mask on and stuff like that. So I think the percentages of baseball getting through and finishing the season, to me, is probably, I'm going to say it's probably high. I think it's around 80% that we're going to finish the season, 60 games without any shutdown for Major League Baseball. What is the percentage you would give it of being a successful season?
About the same. I would say about the same. They've done a lot of rule changes. Like, for example, extra innings. They're putting a person on second base. It's an extra innings rule allows clubs to have a runner placed on second base. So that actually might be something that they will do for here on out. And I think what people need to understand is that a lot of these things that they're trying to do, you're going to see them implement that at some point soon.
If I'm not mistaken, Jeff, real quick on that, I think that's a rule they've already implemented before the coronavirus actually took place. I believe that's something that they've already put in. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that's something that they did to kind of make the games faster. So it's not really a rule for Corona, but it's something that was taking place this season, and we've seen that already. But continue. Okay.
Chewing gum is also one you're not seeing anything of. Spitting items out, sunflower seeds, stuff like that. You don't see that very often, which is kind of weird because, typically, especially sunflower seeds, you see it all the time. And then it also talks about wet rags. I know pitchers tend to lick their fingers with the ball, so now they have to have a moist rag and wipe their fingers and then mess with the ball. So, and I know they're swapping the baseballs in and out periodically.
Right, they're going to use more of them this season.
Oh yeah. Other than that, it's kind of your typical stuff. I think the umpires have like a protective mask, and they're wearing a mask, so it's like this kind of double thing. And then, players, I don't see them wearing masks very often. I wonder if that's an option. I do know there was a player who said they were going to wear a mask the whole time.
It's more for like when a runner's on base and you're trying, at first base, and you're trying to make sure he's not going to take a big lead. The first baseman will put a mask on. I believe the runner has to put a mask on too. Certain things like that. But I think because baseball is not such a contact sport, that they can get quite a bit away with a lot of other things, really. So I think they're set up for success, and we might see some more positives come from this for Major League Baseball. Was the DH situation, is that something that was different? Because I know that right now they have both leagues have DHs. Yeah, that's something. No, that's something that was coming regardless of the virus.
Okay.
I didn't know if that was this year or not. I thought it was going to be next year, but I'm glad personally the DH is being put in both leagues because no one wants to see a pitcher hit. So I know a lot of people hate that, but I really like that aspect of it. So those are ways though that they're trying to change the game to make it more entertaining, to get more viewers. But to me, I grew up loving baseball, and I think it's something that you probably grow up with your family, your dad, and they get you into baseball. It's just kind of like it's just what you do, and I'm hoping I can get my girls to watch baseball eventually and keep that tradition continuing. But let's go ahead and let's jump on into the NBA here, as they have actually started scrimmage games. They don't start till the 30th, I believe. This is the first game, like we mentioned, but so they're in what they call the bubble, and they're down in Walt Disney World playing down in Florida. They were forced to stop a little over halfway. They were almost 3/4 of the way through their season, and we had to shut down. The NBA shut down for 4 months, Jeff. 4 months. That seems like quite a bit of time. To me, so baseball had I gave them a really high percentage of finishing the season. But to me, the NBA has the ability to control a lot of everything that's going to happen, because everyone's in one area of the country. They can control with the rules and regulations a lot of different things as possible, unless Lou Williams and people like that are selfish and go do stupid things. But they can control a lot of what's going on there. But basketball is still a pretty physical sport. A lot of contacts, and everything else. So they have some rules in place there for being tested. And if you leave the bubble, you have to be tested daily. And they're doing daily testing, I believe, in the bubble. So a lot of things are going on down there. And but I think they have the best controllable environment out of any other sports, because you're not traveling anywhere, and they can put a lot of regulations and things like that to try to keep the coronavirus from entering Disney World down there. So,
yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I saw the pictures of the courts and the lobbies and stuff.
Yes.
I think it's for practice, I think, right?
Yeah, well, they're scrimmage games, and to me, they look a lot like, they remind me of kind of like the Olympic courts that you would see when we went over there and played in the Olympics, and we would play, France or whatever. The courts seem to look just kind of like that. So yeah. I think they actually did a pretty good job of setting things up like that. And I don't think it looks that bad.
No, it's interesting though. I think, and there's a lot of interest, kind of cool things they're working on as well. A lot of people will and I know me myself, I was like, how is this going to work with nobody out there? It's be quiet. They're actually piping in through the PA system crowd noise. Now, basketball, I don't know yet. Basketball technically starts the end of next week.
Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah, they have it. The 30th.
So with baseball, they're using MLB The Show and the crowd noise that they've recorded for MLB The Show, and they're piping it into the stadiums, and it sounds awesome. Dude, it's so good. It's so good.
Yes. That's something I meant to talk about when we were talking about baseball, but I forgot about that bit. Yeah. It sounds like a regular baseball game when you're watching it, and it sounds like the announcers are exactly in the stadium, which they're doing it from home, I believe. But it sounds like a regular baseball game, and there's not a lot of mist with there. And one thing real quick, I forgot to bring it up. This is my bad. Before we go back to the NBA here, what do you think about the cardboard cutouts? Because you can actually get a picture of yourself, send it in. They'll put a cardboard cutout of yourself in the stadium to kind of look like the fans are back in the seats. So I thought that's pretty cool idea.
It is. It's a little, to me, it's the only time I've seen it really was I think I watched some of the Ranger highlights or whatever, because they have the new ballpark, which is kind of interesting. Yes. You have a new ballpark, but yet nobody can go there.
Yes.
So the cardboard cutouts that are sitting behind home plate is the ones I saw. And I was like, it's I get it, but it's kind of weird to me. It's a little creepy. They're not moving. So it's just like, it's kind of like a mannequin that's sitting there. Right. But if you want to get the fans involved, why not? But
I think it's a pretty cool idea,
it's creative. I'll say that it's a creative way to include the fans and make it seem like the game's there. I've also seen, I don't know if you've heard this. Have you heard that they've been piping in also digital fans?
I have heard they're going to do this. I haven't seen it yet. I think it's an interesting idea as well. I think that's sounds like some type of futuristic type stuff.
So, into my opinion, I think they're using video games to help this.
Oh, they probably are.
I think they're piping in the crowd from MLB The Show. They're piping in, obviously, the crowd noise from MLB The Show. I think MEA is going to do the exact same thing with 2K. I think they'll take the audio they get from the crowd from 2K and they'll pipe it into the games.
See, I didn't know they were using the show. I didn't know that, so that's pretty cool that they're doing that, and that's just freaking awesome. But like I said, when we were watching it, when I was watching baseball last night, it just seemed like nothing was missing. On all honesty, so yeah. But let's jump back into basketball here. If you got anything left for there, that the courts look great. I think they're going to be able to make it seem somewhat like a normal atmosphere. I think the weirdest thing for all these sports is when you win the championship. Because there's no fans there. There's no, it's just going to be, just the team. But that's going to be an interesting aspect of it as well. And a lot of times these players feed off that energy that's in the crowd, right? They feed off the energy and whether they're pitching on the mound, they just struck someone out. They're super stoked, or LeBron James, makes a big, huge dunk or a big shot. They play off that energy. I think that a lot of times is how they feed into they can feel that momentum and everything. So that could be missing this year. And that's something that sucks, but something that these players are going to have to fight through.
I mean, you can mess with audio. These places have like insane sound systems, but there's one thing that would be missing, and that's the feel of it. Like right. A lot of people say they can feel the reverberation of the crowd and the stomping of the feet and the waving of the towels or whatever it is, and that's not going to be there. So if they can kind of move that out of their head and just listen to the crowd, the audio they're putting in, it may or may not, it will help. So
right. I don't know what it's going to sound like in there on the courts and everything else, and try and make it feel somewhat as normal for them and the baseball players. And the one sport we have not yet to see is the NFL, because it has not started yet. We go into the NFL, and they've already come out and said no preseason games. They first chopped it down to 2, and now there's no preseason. So you're not going to be able to see those rookies that you just picked up on draft. In the draft, you're not going to be able to see these rookies play a couple scrimmage games at least. I wanted to see Jordan Love get some playing time in Green Bay. I won't be able to see that, Jeff. And that's a pain in the butt. It's going to affect roster spots. You get those preseason games and your camp, which I think the camp's even been shortened. The camp and the preseason games to fill out your roster. And you're going to have guys that should be on teams, but they missed their chance because they didn't get a chance to prove themselves in the preseason. So, and I know a lot of fans, like including myself, I don't like the preseason games because there's just a lot of it seems pretty boring and blah, blah, blah. But these coaches need that time to really figure out who's going to be on your team. And it gives those players an extra couple games to try to fight for a position. So you're going to see players that are just going to be SOL this year that might not be on a team or a practice squad and any of that stuff because those preseason games are gone.
We'll just go to the XFL, right?
Oh.
Or they'll just go to the they'll go to the AFL. Yeah. No, they'll probably do more scrimmage games. That's the only thing I could think of is how you would be able to. But I can tell you right now, if you're a low seed pick, I mean, if you're in round 7, 8, I mean, you're in trouble. So you really, 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 at that point, have to really stand out. You have to make some amazing plays and show up a lot of veterans maybe that are going against you and make a name for yourself. And it happens sometimes. I mean, take a look at for the Broncos. I mean, take a look at the running back. I'm trying to think of his name. Anyway, he was a walk-on, Philip Lindsay. And he was a walk-on. He didn't even get drafted. So he went on the team, made a name for himself, and then he made a name for himself. I mean, it is what it is. So if you're that good, if you're good, then you're going to make it. I think if you're not, if you're okay, you might get put on the practice squad, and then who knows? I mean, somebody gets hurt, somebody gets COVID. It gives you an opportunity to to shine when maybe you were overlooked. So it sucks, but it's kind of the way it is right now, and it's just we have to adapt to it. Everybody does.
Right, and they're all going to go through the same thing. So, but one interesting thing that some teams have that others don't, that they have to fight, is like the Dallas Cowboys, who do have a new head coach. They're trying to bring in their own new system. So you're going to see less of them being able to practice that system. That could cause issues. You got Tom Brady going to the Buccaneers. He's got to learn a whole new system. He's got to get that down. So that brings a new element into it. And but one huge element of this, Jeff, and it's going to affect every team, and especially it's going to affect my team, and it sucks, is because of the loss of revenue. It's going to affect the cap space. They're talking about the cap space is going to drop down instead of go up. It's going to affect the teams being able to keep players and that they were going to be able to keep. Green Bay, in specific terms, we have a lot of people coming up next year, going to be free agents. A lot of people that we would like to keep. We already don't have a lot of cap space. This is going to hurt it more. I think that could be one of the biggest outcomes of this is if your cap space drops. I think they were talking about it dropping to $175 million for each team, or the cap space dropping to $175 million, and teams are going to lose some money there. So that's frustrating. That is really frustrating for me. The Green Bay Packers have to sign these guys. I don't know where the cap space of the Denver Broncos and some other teams, but that sucks. It's just one of those things that we're just going to have to deal with. But team could lose out on a guy, a potential star, that you would want to keep, and he goes somewhere else because they have a better cap situation than you do, and because of COVID.
Well, I will say this much. In terms of like the top 5 teams right now with the best cap space, we have Browns, Washington, Bengals, Titans, and Lions. That's the top 5, with, I guess, the most wiggle room, right? Cowboys, not good shape, $9 million. I mean, Patriots, $8 million, not really good shape. Chiefs, definitely not in good shape, especially after signing Mahomes. I mean, Broncos are sitting at 13. We're at 17 million, and that's after, and that's current. This is as of July 25th. So Broncos are sitting at 17. It's not great. It's not perfect. It's not like the Browns, but it's better than I mean, the Cowboys 9, Packers. I think y'all are at 18. Y'all are about 11 million. It's not too bad, but yeah, if it drops down, it will affect that space as well, for sure.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the Cowboys are in trouble there for sure, and I've seen where is it? This news article here on the side here. Dallas Cowboys might be in a tight salary cap situation come 2021, and they will. This is going to affect Dak Prescott. People.
It will affect the contract. Yes, it will.
Yeah, it's COVID. It's taken a lot of things by storm. We were talking about rules and stuff. They also in the NFL can't change jerseys. They've gotten rid of that.
Jerseys, yes. No jersey swaps.
Nope. Richard Sherman was on Twitter expressing his frustration with that, saying we can't do that, but yet we're allowed to tackle. I don't know. Richard Sherman's
that seems a little hypocritical.
Richard Sherman's he's outspoken all the time. So, but yeah, it's I mean, I don't know any other rule changes they're implementing into the NFL.
One of the rule changes that they made is if your stadium allows you to go as a fan, you will have to wear a mask to attend the football game. So I have no problem with that. Some people throwing a fit or wearing a mask. That's one thing that's changed. The Lambeau Field holds 81,000 fans, Jeff. They are only going to allow 10 to 12,000 fans. So that's a big drop. So that's a huge drop. I don't know if other stadiums have come out and said anything yet, but that's Lambeau Field. Have you heard anything on I haven't heard anything here of Jerry World and what's going to happen there. Have you heard anything about your Denver Broncos? How many fans are going to be able to attend this season? Have they come out with anything like that?
I'm going to look that up right now because I'm not sure.
like I don't think a lot of people have yet because they're still kind of wait to see which way the tide turns with this coronavirus and everything going on. But Green Bay has been outspoken on it. They missed a lot of the camp that they could have shown up to, and I think they didn't show up to that, some of it. So,
I mean, they're waiting. I think Forbes has an article talking about it, and mostly talking about they're facing a huge loss in revenue if fans can't attend games in 2020. If they do, yeah, it's like $162 million. That's a big chunk gone. But
I think the Cowboys, I heard they're going, if they can't allow fans in the stadium, I believe it was like $3 billion, I believe, that Jerry Jones is going to lose out on this year. That's huge. So
gotta sell that yacht back.
Gotta have to fit that yacht.
Do what?
So I said, gonna have to put that yacht back. Yeah, no, it's going to affect different teams different ways, and like that as far as attendance. And Green Bay's, they have great attendance every game, and they sell out. But my thing with Green Bay, it's kind of crazy because, it's really hard to get on the season ticket list up there. And how are they going to decide who gets those tickets if you're only allowing 10,000 fans in? What 10,000 fans that have season tickets are going to be the lucky number, or how many games you're going to be able to go to? So that plays effects.
I wonder if it would be grandfathered in, and they determine how long their tickets have been. I'm sure there's a lot, but maybe it's the length that they've had them. Maybe you could determine that way. Like if they've had it since day one, and their family's been season ticket holders from the inception of the team. Yeah, that would say that they probably have seniority, to get tickets. But I don't know, man. That seems like a really tricky situation. I don't know how they're going to do it, but yeah, they're definitely going to have
fans.
Oh, yeah. They're definitely going to have a trick in order to get that many fans. But I think all teams are going to have to dance to try to see how many tickets they're going to actually give out, and how many tickets are going to be for sale, and how many people they're going to allow in the stadiums. So that's a tough task.
Like I said, I think it's smart to kind of wait and see which way the tide's turning when football season starts, and are they going to start on time and all that stuff. But one other thing that came out the other day that we haven't even talked about yet, and it's pretty huge. Chiefs starting right guard Laurent Duvernay is the first player to opt out of the season. That's their starting guard to protect Patrick Mahomes, and he is not playing this year, Jeff. He has refused to play, and I understand it. I did a podcast a little while ago talking about the player's safety, and if they do not feel safe playing, we cannot be mad at them for not playing. And actually, Patrick Mahomes came out and said he stood by his right guard's decision. So how many other players are going to come out and refuse to play? That plays a big role into this. We've already seen it in baseball where some big name pitchers have decided to not play. So all that plays an aspect into it. I don't know who else will step up and say they're not playing, but that's an interesting aspect of this as well. You want your whole team to be there, obviously, but some might not, and especially a starting player.
Well, I think the problem is also that the in terms of the bubble for in NFL is they're not allowed to see their family the entire time, and same with NBA. I would assume I would say the same thing with baseball. I'm not quite sure how theirs works, but the fact that you're not going to be able to see your family members, if some of these players, like I think not JJ Watt. I think it was the Angels, the one they say is like the best player of all time that plays in the Angels. I'm trying to think of his name, Brian.
Mike Trout.
So Mike Trout was not going to play. Now he is going to play, but his wife's supposed to have a baby.
Right.
How does that work? Does
like
it?
A lot of, that plays into his decisions, and then he did come out and say he will play.
But I mean, when the baby's born, it's like, what do? Do you leave? So it's and same thing in NFL. I'm sure there's a lot of players in that same situation where it's like, well, if I'm in the middle of the season and I'm not allowed to go outside this area, if I leave because my wife has a kid, are you going to ban me? Are you going to fine me? Are you going to tell me not to come back anymore? Or am I going to have to go get a bunch of tests before I come back? By that point, the season might even be over. Like, it's just, who knows?
Right. Now, I don't know about to you, but they were talking. I heard this on sports radio the other day, and they were talking about football, and because there hasn't been any talk about what they're going to regulate and how they're going to regulate things, a lot of this is going to fall on the players' maturity. It's going to fall on their shoulders to take responsibility for their actions. And I don't know about you, Jeff, but I don't feel comfortable with some of these football players. Because a lot of them can't stay off marijuana to play football. A lot of them go out and do stupid things all the time. DUIs, they do all this stuff. And we hear it in the news. It's all the time. So I don't know how you're going to tell me that they're going to, for one season, tone all that back and hold all that back to continue to play football. Because as far as I know, they're still going to be traveling to different stadiums and doing all this stuff. I'm pretty sure they're going to try and limit to where they go after the game. But you're going to have a lot of players break those rules. Dak Prescott, I don't keep trying to bring up the Dallas Cowboys. Like Dak Prescott got into a bunch of trouble with Zeke Elliott throwing parties at their house when this whole lockdown in Texas was supposed to happen.
Right.
That was going on, and that's not even in the season. So the season starts. You're going to have players. You're going to have rookies that are making all these money now. They're going to go out. That's why, to me, the football season, I do not feel very good about it. I don't know if we're going to have a football season. I don't know if they're going to be able to finish the football season, especially their second spike. And I would give the NFL my percentage for the NFL to finish their season and without stopping and have a full season this season. I'm going to put it at, Jeff, 30%.
Okay.
I think there's so many factors from what we've heard that they're going to have to deal with. And maybe that's yet to come. Maybe they haven't come out with much about how they're going to control things and control things when you're traveling. Maybe they do try and cut a couple games in the regular season. But we haven't heard anything like that yet. So I just don't feel comfortable giving it a high percentage of actually being successful. And my terms for successful is just finishing the season and having a championship at the end of it. What are your thoughts on the NFL and how comfortable do you feel with the NFL season to be able to be a successful one?
I'd give it a 50-50, honestly. Mainly because I think there's a lot of the NFL is very meticulous about how they do things, or they are. A lot of people think they think a lot more like what do we do, kind of thing. There's a lot of smart people in the NFL in terms of coming up with creative solutions to a problem. So, I mean, I think they'll be able to do it. Now, if there's a second spike and maybe let's say half of a team gets it, then no, I think they're going to shut it down at some point. But gosh, it's hard to put a number on that because mostly that's just. I mean, just the fact that they're going to play an entire season, and if nobody goes to a stadium, that's $160 million lost. If they even play half the season and then nothing's played at all at that point, that's even more of a loss. So, yeah, that's kind of I'd say 50-50. I think there's a chance they'll be all right if they're smart. I think that if they do find players that are finding, I don't know how NBA was doing it, but if they do find players that are not minding the rules, well, then I would say, look, you're banned for 2 games, and you're going to go get tested. And, if you come back positive, you're out for the season.
Right. They have to draw that line in the sand and really put their foot down on this if they want it to continue, because you have a lot of men in your locker room in the NFL. You got, not only that, you got refs and you got all these people and the training staff and everything that goes into it. It's just a lot of people and it's a lot of unknown. And maybe we will see some type of regulations come down from the NFL when the season gets closer. The regulations they gave coaches for the training camps and things like that. We've already had coaches saying what they've asked us to do is physically impossible. So that's not a good look. It's not to give you a lot of good comfort feeling for it. So I think of all the sports right now that are going on, I do not feel comfortable. Like I said, 30%. I don't think we're going to finish the NFL season. And then it brings back into these questions that I tried to talk about a couple weeks ago on the podcast is what do they have in place, Jeff, if a player does get the coronavirus? What's going to happen? And that's a lot of unanswered questions that we don't know. Maybe they'll break it down for us. But that's just some questions that leaves me really uneasy on how I'm going to feel about this season for my football team. And I mean, is it going to be worth it? Is it going to be worth it to go through all this just for 1 year? I don't know.
Well, I mean, a lot of this is just kind of these sports franchises are just kind of wing it, and I think we may not know all the answers right now, but it's going to be one of those wait and see moments where it's like, well, like if half the I'm not going to just attack the Patriots, but if half of the Patriots get coronavirus, it's like, okay, what do we do? Do we just say, well, y'all can't play a game, like, or
that's a forfeit. They have to forfeit a game. Yeah,
like what do you do there? I mean, it's gonna be a wait and see, man. It's so weird because we're in this weird time where it's like we want all these sports to happen and they're gonna happen, but how are they gonna handle a situation if it gets bad? So
right, and college football too. It's a wait and see. Some schools have come out and said they're canceling all sports. So some schools,
I heard that. The big boys are going to play, but it's the smaller schools, I think, that are saying no, we're done. We're not going to do anything.
Right.
Is that right?
I believe so. I mean, some still are. Some small schools have come out and said they're not playing any sports. Some small schools said they're going to play football. The big name players or the big name schools probably will play as long as the NCAA lets them. I think there will be a season. Will there be fans? I don't know. There's a lot of questions going into that as well. So I don't know. But the biggest thing is, and a lot of people don't know this, or that college football brings in so much revenue for their schools, it pays for all the other schools. Or not all the other schools, sorry, all the other sports at that particular school. It pays for it. So if you don't have college football, those other sports are going to be hurting. If you even have those other sports or the next season comes up, you're missing out on that revenue that's going to affect other sports just because football alone may not have a season or because some schools are going to opt out. So that's something that's interesting to look forward to. I think they're only doing conference games this year in the NCAA. So it's going to leave less traveling and stuff like that. So, college football is even being affected, and sports in general are trying to find a way to maneuver through so we can go back to somewhat of a normal life. Normalcy, and so that we can employ people that work and then in all these sports and stuff like that. So
well, and it's also and as I told my wife that it's also people working there at the place. Like these people don't have jobs, that some of these people, they'll have like a regular job during off season, but during a regular season, that's what they do. Like they have a business. Some of these places, they also hire mom and pop like food truck people that come out to the front of the stadium, or they have their own thing inside the stadium that they sell that are like and they're little organizations. They're not part of the big scheme of it all. I mean, they pay for the space there to sell what they make, and I mean, that's like a big deal. That's a lot of jobs gone. There's a lot of people that maintain that stadium, maintain the cleaning of all the restaurants and the restrooms and all the. I mean, those people are out of a job.
Right, and it's a crazy time, and anybody out there that's lost their job, we our condolences to you. Luckily, I have had a job, and that will never ever shut down, and I thank God every day for that. And so Jeff, as we wrap things up here, what are any final thoughts you may have on any topic you want to talk about, any part of your life, any part of the corona or sports you want to talk about? The mic is yours right now.
it's really just kind of like, trying to stay, just positive during all this. But, my wife and I, we just helped out one of lady that was part of her reading or her writers group, and her daughter passed away, and so we went over and basically made some food and brought her some food, and then talked with her for hours. So we did that, and they were very thankful and thanked us for giving them the ability to kind of talk to somebody and during all this, because it's difficult. It's like you can't see a lot of people, and when you can, it's kind of like a treat. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
right.
it's there. We did that. So that was something that was kind of cool that we did over the last during all this craziness, and just chilling out at home, and wife's writing, and sometimes we'll watch movies, and we have our shows, and then we also like to play games and stuff like that. So anything in terms of trying to ride the wave until this is over with is challenging, but I mean, everybody, I think for the most part, I will say a lot of people are doing it. They're doing it right. You know what I mean? Like, it's, the numbers go up and whatever, but I mean, people are, for the most part that I see personally, like I went to the grocery store today to get some stuff. Everybody had a mask. Everybody was distancing themselves from people. Like, nobody's crowded up or anything. So, I mean, ultimately, we're so the people that I see or interact with, they're doing it right, So as long as everybody's just understanding of like what you got to do, to kind of get back to normal, it's just what you got to do, So in terms of sports, I think I just saw a tweet from ESPN that showed LeBron's got a Kobe like a wristband thing, but he's got one that's for his finger. I think it's probably a shooting hand. So I saw that just now, and man, just trying to get back to some kind of normalcy in sports, and excited to watch baseball. That's like the first thing I was like kind of like cheering and stuff like that in the first game, because we beat the Nationals, and then we lost the second game, and then we won today. But watched Garrett Cole for the first time. That was cool. As a Yankee, so that was interesting. But yeah, I kind of was like getting ramped up when I was watching it. So I was like, this is kind of cool. I haven't felt this in a while. so
right.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, nothing like just my thoughts really are just kind of ready for everything to get back to normal. And my sister's coming in town in October, so for her birthday. So we're kind of ready for that, and we're going to have a get-together with my mom, and I think we're going to meet my mom Tuesday in Castle Rock. So, but, yeah, we're just, everybody just needs to do – I know it's tough. Do what you're told. Wear the mask. As much as it sucks, everybody's got to do it.
Right. It's about doing your part, and knowing that we're all contributing to trying to get back on the fast track of getting back to a normal life. And there comes a point in time where we're going to have to get back out there and live our lives. And I took my mom out to eat lunch earlier today, and it's something that we don't do. We haven't done it because of Corona, but I took her out, and we had a good time at a new restaurant here in town, and ate some good lunch. So it's going to come to the point where we're going to have to kind of get back out there and get back to a normal life. And I think it's what sports brings to us. Sports brings some normality back into life right now. And it gives us something to cheer for and root for, and take our minds off the things, take our minds off the things that are going on in the world. And whether it's the coronavirus or whether it's racial equality stuff going on, and all this insane stuff that's happened this year, it's all about trying to stay positive, Jeff, and doing those things for your neighbor. And like you went out and helped that lady, which is awesome, and it's something that we should all be doing right now. And my biggest thing is just trying to stay positive. In this time right now where it's easy going to be have your head down, have your head be hung low and get depressed. It's really easy for that right now. And just trying to stay positive. That's all you can do. I think sports is going to bring back that to our lives a little bit.
I mean, I think also it's just as much as everybody gets wrapped up in their own, thoughts or whatever, their own issues about things in the world or whatever. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all people. You know what I mean? Like, we're all human. We all do exactly the same things. We wake up, we eat, we, play, we work, everybody does the same stuff. And I know we have some listeners that are not in the States, and some that I've seen in terms of the stats and stuff that we have for our podcast. Some of them are in, Brazil or Europe or whatever. And they have to deal with it too. It's
right.
We're dealing with it as America right now, but sometimes I think this is a world issue. So it's
right.
We're in this. When they say we're in it together, I mean that's a global thing. Like we are in it together as humans. So
right.
I mean I feel for all those people too. I mean, everybody, even outside the U.S., because there's a lot of places that are, like Ecuador is a good example of the bad in terms of the United States. They don't have as much as we do, and they're dealing with stuff, and it's just that's something that I think in the U.S. we kind of take for granted, but. They have it a lot worse than we do. There's a lot of medical help there. So, I mean, it's, we're having a hard time medical wise stuff here, but it's even worse in other parts. So if we can take that into consideration and also be able to put our differences aside, everybody, and just go, look, these people are also having a hard time, so what can we do for them? What can we do for ourselves? I mean, because this is going to affect everybody, I mean, it's a virus. It affects everybody.
We're hoping to come up. They're working on a vaccine, so that's something hopefully we can do and then give out to everybody around the world. Once we create those, and hopefully that's successful. But just keep your heads up, guys. We thank you guys for listening. We thank you for those that are over in other countries that do listen to this podcast. I think it's pretty crazy that you guys. I think it's pretty crazy, awesome that you guys listen to us. So we are grateful for you and anybody that's taken a like to this podcast. If you guys want to reach out and email us, you can email us at watsonsplaybook at gmail.com. Super easy. If you got any questions, if you like this format we're doing, we changed it up a little bit this time. I'm going to continue to do this. So hopefully you like this format and just reach out to us. We would love to connect with you. Anybody around the world, anybody in the United States, would be grateful to hear from you. So like I said, we're on Facebook. Jeff runs the Twitch account at Watson_playbook. He streams up a lot of video games. And I run the Facebook account, and we're just trying to get this thing off of the floor here and just continue to do it because it's something we love to do. We hope you guys have
you figured out the YouTube one? The YouTube?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I forgot about that. I do stream on YouTube. I do the YouTube gaming. It's just on my YouTube page. I also have it's under the same thing, Watson's Playbook. And I do a review page. I review different products I buy. I'm going to do a review coming up this week on a mustache wax that I bought. And so I do different things for different, I have a beard and everything. I do a lot of different products for that. Different restaurant we went today. I'm going to give a review for that. So just a little review page, and as well as streaming video games. I do play a lot of Call of Duty and different things on there. So thanks, Jeff, for reminding me on that stuff.
Yep. And if anybody ever wants to, hop on and play with any of us, just, give Brian the email, give him. I mean, we play on PlayStation, but there are some games that are cross-platform. So like Rocket League. Rocket League is becoming cross-platform and also becoming free to play. I play that a lot in my spare time. And I mean, you can hop on, give Brian your information and maybe your PSN tag or whatever, and then we can hop on and play. We can create a like a community on there as well, and that way we could all, if we're all playing something, or if there's a group that wants to play something, we can all hop on and play something together. So that's something that would be kind of fun to do, interaction.
That would be awesome. We're looking for that interactions. I don't want to say fan interaction because that's kind of weird. I don't think really are fans, but just the interaction to get interactive with other people. I'm always looking for that kind of connection, but that's about it. We're gonna go ahead.
And one more thing. Brian was talking about the like businesses, and they went to a restaurant. Yeah, I mean that's one thing that I just want to drop. One more thing is support your local businesses, because that's the people that are hurting the most. I mean, if you can try to find your local food truck, your local bakery, go to if you get coffee in the morning, go to a local coffee place, something like that, something that you can support local businesses, because those are the ones that are hurting the most. Starbucks is going to be around forever,
right? They're not going anywhere.
No. And so like that's a big thing, is like I just want to see more and more people support local businesses, because that is a huge reason. That's like the little guy, so if you can support that, you can help them out. Any of your local businesses that you have around, do it, because it helps them out, and it makes them better, and then you'll also have more local small businesses that will pop up because of that. So let their voices be heard, and let their dreams come alive. Don't let COVID take them out, because it's not necessary.
And it's a damn shame, and honestly, that this has taken effect and really affected those guys. And I'm glad you pointed that out, because that is something we need to do. And even if you're not, for a good example here, even if you're not going to a store and buying something and you're ordering online, find you a mom and pop shop online. I buy some different beer products. I like to buy different brands and learn about them, where they come from. And so there's a brand that I really like. It's called Fresh Beards. And I thought they were a big corporation, they have this nice packaging. I thought all this stuff, but actually went back and learned it's literally a dad, his wife, and their little girl. And they create this stuff out of their house and send it and ship it all over the world. So I'm like, that's pretty cool. I will continue to support them, and I will continue to buy their products, because one, they're great products, and two, because of that fact that they're doing it by themselves and they're competing against those corporations and stuff like that. So go out and support those small businesses. That's a good point, Jeff, because they are struggling to make it in this time. But yeah, about it. I think we're good. I just want to say I just appreciate you jumping on with me, Jeff. I appreciate all those listeners out there. This is Sunday. We'll put this podcast out this week, and hope you guys have a good week, and hope you guys are doing your job, doing your part to stay safe and keep from spreading this virus around, so we can get back to what you consider a normal life. And I hear my girls screaming right now, so I do want to apologize. You are going to hear these girls screaming on this mic every now and then. So I have headphones on, so a lot of times I can't hear it, but I just heard that one was loud. So you're going to hear those, and I apologize, but that's just the everyday life here in the Watson household. So
all right, man.
All right, buddy. Well, you take it easy. Yeah.
Stay safe, stay safe, stay healthy. And I'm going to post this up. Look forward to our episodes Wednesdays. So, and then that's either me or either I'll be on. If I can't, then obviously Brian will be on. But Wednesdays are the days to look for the podcast. So we're just going to be a regular uploads on every Wednesday.
All right, guys. That is it. Take care, guys.
Take care.
Blue 58! Blue 58! Go!